This is the Bible Forum. It's October 7th, 2018. Day before Columbus Day, I think. I'm not sure. We talked a little bit about Christopher Columbus earlier in the show. You want to go back and look at the first tape. There's some stuff in there. But tonight I want to talk to you and show you what a lawyer sees when he looks at Christine Ford's testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Have you ever been interrogated by a lawyer? How about a lawyer who makes her living prosecuting sex crimes? One who knows from experience when someone is either lying or trying to shade the truth just a little. Such a person is Rachel Mitchell. You saw her if you watched the hearings. Rachel Mitchell is the prosecutor who questioned Christine Ford on behalf of the Republican senators last week during the hearing before the Senate Judiciary Committee. She's a career prosecutor from Arizona who specializes in sex-related crimes. She released a memo late on Sunday explaining why no reasonable prosecutor, her words, would bring a case against Brett Kavanaugh given the evidence that exists against him. She writes, "Cases like this are incredibly difficult to prove, but this one is more so. It does not satisfy the preponderance of evidence standard." And she offers a number of reasons, citing the confusion and the gaps in this woman's testimony. Number one, she said Ford has not offered a consistent account of when the alleged assault happened. She offered several paragraphs of illustration. I didn't want to bore you with all of that. Secondly, she says Ford has struggled to identify Judge Kavanaugh as the assailant by name. Again, 2 or 3 paragraphs of explanation. Thirdly, when speaking with her husband, Ford changed her description of the incident to become less specific. According to Mitchell, Ford told her husband before they married that she had been a victim of a sexual assault, but she told the Washington Post that she told her husband she was a victim of physical abuse. What is it? What is that? Difference without a distinction? Lawyers look at all of this. It makes a difference. She testified that both times she was referring to the same incident. Number 4, Ford has no memory of key details of the night in question, details that could help corroborate her account. For example, Ford does not remember who invited her to the party, or how she heard about it, or how she got there. She does remember whose house she was in when the assault occurred, or where the house is located with any specificity. She does remember, however, very specific details about that night, details that are unrelated to the assault, such as how many beers she consumed and whether or not she was on medication. Mitchell then offers what she considers the most significant hole in Ford's memory, the fact that Ford does not remember how she returned home from the party. It was, according to Ford, a 20-minute drive from her childhood home to where she was, and no one has come forward to say they were the driver that night. Ford remembers locking herself in a bathroom after the alleged assault, but cannot identify who drove her home. Both happened after. It was the days before cell phones, and yet Ford remembers running out of the house after coming downstairs, but not calling anyone before doing so. Number 5, Ford's account of the alleged assault has not been corroborated by anyone she identified as having attended, including her lifelong friend. And they have sworn under penalty of felony that they do not remember the party, nor any of the details that Ford related. Number 6, Ford has not offered a consistent account of the alleged assault. In the initial account, she remembers hiding in a bathroom after the assault. She testified that she heard no one, only assumed people were talking. In another account, she heard Kavanaugh and Mark Judge talking downstairs while she hid in the bathroom upstairs after the assault. In her remembrance shared with the Washington Post, there were only 2 boys in the room when she was assaulted. In Ford's letter to Dianne Feinstein, she said there were 4 people at the party besides her. Later, it was 4 boys and her female friend. One of the boys she initially identified as a bystander, but in her oral testimony, she said it was not accurate to call him a bystander. 7th, Ford has struggled to recall important recent events relating to her allegations and her testimony regarding recent events, all of which raises further questions about her memory. Ford cannot recall if she was recorded via audio or video during the administration of her polygraph, nor can she remember if the polygraph was administered on the same day as her grandmother's funeral or the day after. And Mitchell says it would have been legally and socially inappropriate to administer a polygraph to someone who was grieving. Ford's description of the psychological impact of the event also raises questions. Ford testified that she suffers from anxiety, PTSD, and claustrophobia, which explains her fear of flying. However, she testified that she has flown many times in the last year and flies on a regular basis for her hobbies and work. And a past boyfriend says they flew often in small aircraft around Hawaii, for example. Meanwhile, Ford testified that the assault affected her academically in college. However, she never claimed it affected her in high school, immediately after the assault allegedly occurred. It is significant, she says, that she used the word contributed when she described the psychological impact of the incident to the Washington Post, not caused, suggesting that other life events may have contributed to her symptoms. And when questioned on that point, she said that she could think of nothing as striking as the alleged assault. Finally, Mitchell said the activities of congressional Democrats and Dr. Ford's attorneys likely affected Dr. Ford's account. Some have wondered why the therapist's notes made in regard to Christine Ford and her memory of Brett Kavanaugh assaulting her when both were teens, why were those not released? If she told Congress and the nation her story last Thursday in an apparently convincing fashion, followed by Kavanaugh's passionate rebuttal, why would you withhold the notes? The therapy sessions may have been hypnosis, which would make any information derived from them inadmissible in court, Mitchell said. Her familiarity with the technique was confirmed in a 2008 research article on self-hypnosis in which she, Ford, is listed as one of several authors. The article explains how it is used to, quote, retrieve important memories, end of quote, or quote, recreate artificial situations, end of quote. Margot Cleveland is an adjunct professor at Notre Dame and a lawyer, and she posted a comment online October 1st of this year, just a few days after the Ford testimony. In this post, she reflects on one of Christine Ford's research articles in 2008, which included a study where participants were taught self-hypnosis. She went on to note how hypnosis can be used to retrieve important memories, quote, and create artificial situations, end of quote. Cleveland defended herself from critics who argued the point of the research was to address depression and processing difficult emotions, pointing out that Ford suffers from anxiety and PTSD, and using an artificial situation to process her feelings, thoughts, etc. increases risks of false memories, as does the hypnosis. This is something all human beings either know or should. It's about talking to yourself about events, people from within your own world of memory, imaginations, defenses, and so forth. The article goes on to talk about creating artificial situations, quote, that would permit the client to express ego-dystonic emotions in a safe manner, end of quote. Ego-dystonic refers to thoughts, emotions, feelings, behaviors, and so forth, which are contrary to or inconsistent with the rest of one's personality. It also explains how hypnosis can be used to let patients focus on certain aspects of an experience or of a memory. The idea is that reliving the experience helps you walk through the reparative process. Now keep in mind, hypnosis is very, very dangerous. It is dangerous spiritually. It is dangerous emotionally. Whenever a human being is able to shut off their conscious mind, they automatically open that mind to another mind that may be lurking about. Secularists, pagans, and others reject that sort of anthropology. For them, everything is natural, it's physical. And of course, they are either ignorant or they are closed to the idea that evil spirits exist and are at work in and through non-physical processes. Therefore, their anthropology is oriented toward the physical. But who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The shadow knows. Some of you old enough to remember the show, radio program, 1930s. And so does the God who made us. It is man's sinfulness, selfishness, and arrogance that seeks alternative solutions to sinful attitudes and behaviors instead of confessing them, repenting of them, restructuring your life so they never happen again. Instead of going to whatever the authority is that could bring justice, we retreat inside ourselves and think we can handle it. We can't. We resort to drugs, alcohol, sex, hypnosis, and just about anything else that will keep us busy enough, distracted enough that we won't think about it. It's what helps them sleep at night. What helps you sleep at night? I find that if I confess my sins to God, I sleep better.